Contract review meeting to order. City Recorder Krager, please call roll.
Councillor Hu,
Here.
Mayor Lube,
Here.
Councillor Robbins. We're waiting for her to join remotely. We'll try again. Councillor Schlack,
Here.
Councillor Shaw,
Here.
Council President Wolf,
Here.
and Councillor Godusi is absent.
Thank you. If everyone will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Are there any non-agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to our first item, which is to appoint Asher Hellick as the Youth City Councilor for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And we have Assistant to the City Manager Hendricks here to produce the report.
Good
Welcome.
evening. Thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, my name is Nicole Hendricks, Assistant to the City Manager, and I'm very excited to bring forward for your consideration a recommendation for Tigard's next Youth City Councilor. Our Youth City Council program was established by Council in 2019, allowing for the appointment of one Tigard resident entering their junior or senior year of high school to serve as a member of Council to advise Council on community issues from a youth perspective. The Youth Councilor serves one term from July 1st, this for 2025, through June 30th, 2026. After applying and interviewing with the Mayor and Council President Wolf, Asher Hellick is being recommended for appointment and is here tonight in the audience with his family. So Asher is a lifelong resident of Tigard, attends Tigard High School, and his application emphasized the importance of representation of all ages, especially student voice. And I will go ahead and hand it over to the Mayor and Council for any additional information or questions. And since it is July 1st, we are looking for an appointment effective immediately. And if appointed, Asher is willing to sit at the dais with you for his first council meeting. So I'll hand it back over to you.
Jumping right into the deep end.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, Council President Wolf and I interviewed Asher, and he was incredibly thoughtful in his responses. And out of all of these years, I think the first that I have received a resume and a letter of recommendation, he took it incredibly seriously and was just really thoughtful. And so feel very comfortable with the recommendation. And Asher joining us here at the dais. Do you have anything else to add, Council President?
No, just that I really appreciate the opportunity, Asher, to get to know you in advance, and I think Asher will do a wonderful job.
Are there any questions or comments or a motion?
Mayor, I move to appoint Asher Hellick as Youth City Councilor for a July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 term.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion is adopted by unanimous vote of the council president. Actually, Councilor Robbins, you are here. Feel free to come on.
Yes, I am.
Did you hear her? Oh, are you comfortable voting yes? Were you here for the whole item?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. There was just a little conversion over yes, are you here, or appreciate it. Thank you, Councilor Robbins. And so with that addition, the motion is adopted by unanimous vote of the council president. Congratulations, Youth Councilor Hellick. Thank you, everyone. The next item on our agenda is proclamations and recognition, and we have two proclamations tonight. The first one is to proclaim Parks and Recreation Month, and we have Parks Infrastructure Manager Gruen to present the report, or to present the proclamation.
Good evening, Mayor Lube and council members. Rick Gruen, Parks and Recreation and Green Infrastructure Manager. I'm joined here tonight with Ellen Brown, who is our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Chair. So we are very pleased to be here tonight for the City of Tigard to join many other cities around the country in proclaiming July as National Parks and Recreation Month. It is a time to celebrate our parks and the park and recreation professionals who are dedicated to improving the lives of tens of millions of people, making a lasting positive impact in our communities across the country. This year's theme for Parks and Recreation Month is Build Together, Play Together, which recognizes the contributions of more than 160,000 full-time park and recreation professionals, along with thousands more of part-time and seasonal workers and volunteers like Ellen, who maintain our parks and create recreation programs to activate our public spaces, which are essential to community health and well-being. On behalf of the Tigard Parks and Recreation team, and of course with our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, we invite you, Mayor Lube, council members, and the Tigard community to join us in celebrating National Parks and Recreation Month by exploring our 608 acres of parkland, greenways, and natural areas that the city has to offer, and participating in our amazing recreation programs and events that are taking place this month. So in honor of Parks and Recreation Month, our small but mighty recreation team will be hosting a number of pop-ups in the park throughout July. One will be at Universal Plaza, one at Summer Lake, and one at Blueberry Hill Park. These, along with trivia in the park at Cook Family Park, music in the plaza at Universal Plaza on Thursday evenings throughout July, Friday fun at the Fano Creek House, a youth track meet at Fowler Middle School, and an outdoor Arts Explorers program at Dirksen Nature Park. All these should provide people of all ages in our community to come out and enjoy recreation and entertainment. And anyone can find out more details about these events by going to the city's homepage and clicking on the Parks and Recreation icon. Ellen, do you have anything to add?
When I first started on the Parks Board about 7 years ago, we were faced with the very real probability of losing our recreation program due to budget issues. And I'm so grateful that we were able to save that program and have been continually impressed by the park staff in growing that program, and then the parks maintenance and all of the hard work that they do with a mighty small team and a budget that probably could be better if they wanted, and but they're doing such a great job, and we're always very impressed.
So thank you, Mayor Lube. Thank you, Council, for your ongoing support and for participating in the proclamation to name July as Parks and Recreation Month. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for in the summer, and our team works so hard to keep them looking great. I know I see them early on Sunday mornings when they're cleaning up from the day before, so they're ready to go. And our community, when you talk to them about what do they love about Tigard, we just did some board and committee interviews, and a lot of them say it's the access to the parks that we have. So the small but mighty team does an incredible job. So thank you for that, and we're excited to do it. I assume Councilor Shaw wants to say something. Yeah.
Just say it was exciting. I'm no longer the council liaison to Parks and Recreation, but I know that I thoroughly enjoyed my time, and I agree the team has done such a fantastic job. And it's also one of those that the council internally negotiates for that liaison position. So it's very popular, and just want to say thank you both for all your hard work.
Yeah, I want to echo the chair's comment about our rec team, how much they do with so little they have. And recently, the three of us on council just went participated in the fun run, in the balloon festival.
Yeah.
And it's just, so much work, just like painting the tree root with those orange dye and
Yep.
setting up everything is just so incredible, so much work, and we all had a lot of fun. So yeah, I really appreciate
Thank you.
the rec team. So thank you so much.
So we're excited to proclaim July Parks and Recreation Month. Shall we get a picture with the proclamation? Thank you, everyone. The next item is to proclaim Independence Day, a celebration of freedom on July 4th, 2025. And the proclamation reads, whereas Independence Day commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, and whereas the Declaration of Independence contains timeless principles of equality, natural rights, and government by consent, and whereas the journey to fulfill these ideals has required generations of persistence, perseverance, and progress towards a more perfect union, and whereas our country is made stronger through a recognition of the value of all people and a commitment to address inequalities and injustices wherever they occur. And whereas we acknowledge the contributions of those who have served their country to protect our freedoms, including our ancestors who served in the American Revolutionary War. And whereas we encourage the people of Tigard to reflect on the country's history, our progress, and the continued work needed toward the important ends of liberty and justice for all. And whereas this Independence Day, we invite the community to journey through time from Tigard's founding in 1961 to the vibrant, diverse city of today in our Tigard Through the Decades celebration at Cook Family Park on July 4th. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Heidi Lube, Mayor of the City of Tigard, do hereby proclaim July 4th, 2025 as Independence Day, a celebration of the freedom in the City of Tigard. Feel free.
Thank you, Mayor. 4th of July has always been really dear to me because my family had immigrated, and Independence Day in Norway is also very important. It's a time for reflection, gratitude, symbolizing, I think, the core values of American freedom, democracy, and the self-governance, and a reminder that the sacrifices that were made for all of us to achieve these and those freedoms and the ongoing commitment to uphold them is very important. And it really is a time for all of us to come together to celebrate the history as well as the culture and to foster that sense of national unity and pride. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for the city for the proclamation, for those who have fought and for those who uphold the values, and just very excited. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is public comment. If you'd like to provide public comment by phone or video, please call in or log in now to get into the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. Anyone wishing to make public comment in person, there is a sign-up sheet at the entrance of the room. If there's anyone that wants to testify on agenda item number 7, please use that sign-up sheet at the front of the room, or you can call in at the beginning of that public hearing. We did receive one written comment by noon on Monday, and it was from John Goodhouse in regards to the parking management program. We don't have anyone signed up to speak in person. Mr. Vang, are there any phone callers in the queue or anyone wishing to testify by video this evening?
No callers.
All right, thank you so much. We will move on to our city manager report from City Manager Stockwell. Welcome.
Hi, Mayor and Council. We have a few slides to show for you. I want to thank everyone who came out for the Pride Parade and Festival on Saturday. Waiting for the slides to go up because it goes right along with my presentation. I know he has them. We talked about it before the meeting. All right, there we go. So it was a very successful event with roughly 500 people at the festival and 130 involved in the parade. Mayor and Council, I know you were there to see this for yourself. Next slide. Including parade Grand Marshal, Councilor Schlack, photo credit Councilor Shaw on that. Next slide. And our new youth counselor, Asher Hellick, who performed at the event. We saw a range of community members enjoying themselves from the vendor booth to the roller skating, entertainment, and parade. We do know that it's great to get people out to the city booth when you're handing out free t-shirts, and City Recorder and myself were doing that and enjoyed that. This is the first year we've offered sponsorships for the event, and we received nearly $4,000 in cash sponsorship support from our Pride sponsors, Leaf Filter Gutter Guards, Travel Oregon, and Tualatin Acupuncture. And Tualatin Acupuncture app also marched in the parade, had a big presence there. The road closure on Durham, which was new this year, went well. And next slide. We want to thank all the people who helped make this happen, including our staff, especially Alex Richardson, our event contractor, Cindy Murphy, and our partners at the Tigard Tualatin School District. Thank you very much, Mayor. Council.
Thank you. It was an incredible event, and everyone was just out having a wonderful time. So thank you to our city team and our partnership with TTSD for putting on that event. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda, which is used for routine items, including contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. These items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion, or council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Today on the consent agenda, we have the Oregon Department of Transportation agreement for Fano Creek Trail to Bonita Road to Durham Road project development, and Radio Read water meters and association components contract. Are there any questions or comments or a motion this evening? Yep, Councilor Hu?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very excited about both projects, but for the first one, just have some clarifying questions about, since this is an ODOT managed project with the expected cut to ODOT staff, I believe 600 to 700, would that delay the project in any way, or do we even know that?
Yeah, please come on up. Senior Engineer Morris. Welcome, Zach.
Zach Morris, Senior Project Engineer with Tigard Public Works. Not that we're aware of. We've had recent conversations as recent as 2 weeks ago, or assuming council signs the agreement that they would sign shortly thereafter. They're very eager to get the project and the funding obligated with Federal Highway Administration before the end of the federal fiscal year. So yeah, there's been no indication that that would slow the project down, but only time would tell, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear right now. So I'm very excited about it, and I saw your video about the first alignment study, and I'm very excited to see what's coming up next, because right now, riding my bike from Bonita Park to Cook Park is not a pleasant experience. So I'm looking
Sure.
forward to this new trail coming online sometimes. But thank you so much.
Yeah, Council President Wolf?
Just a quick clarifying question, and that was on the cost to the city. When I looked at the agreement and looked at what the county had put forward and then the federal dollars, I felt like there was a gap. So I just wanted clarity if there's a small piece that's ours on the budget.
There is. So even though the agreement says there's a total project cost, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I think 1.9 million.
Yeah.
The current budget for FY26, we're showing the Tigard total project cost is 2.2 million. And the difference is, even though it says it accounts for all costs, the statewide transportation improvement plan, or the STIP, which is kind of like the equivalent of our CIP, doesn't typically account for our internal costs. So there is $250,000 in our budget that accounts for Tigard project management time and contingency in the event we did have to provide more of a deposit to ODOT. So there is a gap, and that's where it's from.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That was pretty close to what I thought it was, so thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions or comments?
With that, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, Councilor Robbins. Any opposed? Sorry, blinked for a second. Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted by unanimous vote of the council present. The next item on the agenda is a quasi-judicial public hearing, Tigard Street Bridge Replacement Comprehensive Plan Map, Sensitive Lands Review, and Minor Modification. So I will open the public hearing. And we have Associate Planner McGinnis to give us the staff report. Oh, is declaration of challenges? Okay.
So we haven't done one of these in quite a while, but there is a required script to be read first.
Excellent. Okay, so first, declaration of challenges.
All right. This is a quasi-judicial land use proceeding. Council's decision must be based on the following substantive criteria. Tigard Community Development Code, Chapters 18140, 18510, 18710, 18765, 18790, 18910, Tigard Comprehensive Plan Policies 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12, Metro's Urban Growth Management Functional Plan, Titles 3 and 8, and statewide planning goals 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the relevant approval criteria described in the staff report or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation that apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford counsel and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes an appeal to LUPA on that issue. Failure of an applicant to object to a condition of approval may preclude an action for damages in circuit court. Members of the City Council will be asked whether they have any conflicts of interest. If a council member has an actual conflict, the council member cannot participate. Council members must declare any contacts about this case with a member of the public. Council members must also declare if they have independent knowledge of relevant facts, such as from a visit to the site in question. A council member who describes ex parte contacts or independent information will state whether the contact has impaired their impartiality or ability of the member to vote on the matter. After the discussion of conflicts and ex parte contacts, any person may challenge the participation of a council member or rebut any statements made. The council member in question may respond to such a challenge.
Excellent. I think it's free to say we've probably all driven through this intersection, but did anybody visit it specifically to take a look at it or have any other contact that council or who?
Yesterday I met with a constituent on that site, but we didn't talk about this particular project specifically. So I don't know that's an independent knowledge. Okay, oh, that's great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just add, since this is my first one and I'm new to all of this, as the Planning Commission liaison, I attended previous conversations that were held on the public record, just as a member of the public, so that's my only involvement.
All right, excellent. We will move on to the staff report. Welcome.
All right, can we hear me all? Can you all hear me? All right, great. Looks like the slides are up. So good evening, Mayor Lube and councilors. My name is Jenny McGinnis. I'm an associate planner in the Community Development Department. And the item before you tonight is the Tigard Street Bridge Replacement Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment Public Hearing. So next slide, please. So the site consists of portions of multiple properties totaling approximately 3.76 acres. The site is located west of the intersection of Tigard Street and Tiedemann Avenue, and the project area includes land with a variety of zone districts, including Res B, Res D, Industrial, and Parks and Recreation. The site also includes a portion of Dirksen Nature Park. Next slide, please. The application includes a comprehensive plan map amendment to remove Goal 5 safe harbor protection from significant wetland areas and the Fano Creek vegetated corridor, a sensitive lands review for work within the FEMA flood hazard area, as well as a minor modification to construct a stormwater facility in Dirksen Nature Park. Next slide. So the project includes widening the existing 10-foot wide vehicle travel lanes to 12 feet, adding 6-foot wide paved shoulders and 6.5-foot wide curbed sidewalks on both sides. The bridge will be 124 feet long and will consist of a precast concrete slab bridge with a cast-in-place concrete deck. The finished roadway elevation will be approximately 7 feet higher than it is currently to bring it above the 100-year floodplain. And the project also includes construction of a stormwater facility in Dirksen Nature Park, as well as lighting improvements at the Fano Creek Trail crossing of Southwest Tigard Street just west of the bridge. Next slide, please. So here is the site plan that shows the location of the proposed improvements, as well as the significant wetland areas and the vegetated corridors associated with Fano Creek. So the permanent impact area includes 0.59 acre of area designated significant wetland, and that's the area in the purple hatching, and then 0.14 acre of vegetated corridor associated with Fano Creek, and that is the area in the green, almost brick-like pattern. And next slide, please. And so this is just to give you an idea. So the graphic on the right that's highlighted in red is the Goal 5 Safe Harbor Protection Area. So that comes from the Wetlands and Stream Corridors map, and so that is the area that is being affected by this comprehensive plan map amendment. So essentially those areas that are designated as significant wetlands and Fano Creek vegetated corridor, that protection will be removed with this proposal in order to allow construction of this replacement bridge. And next slide, please. So here's a visual of the current section of the bridge compared to the proposed conditions. As you can see, the current bridge consists of 2 narrow vehicle travel lanes and a separated pedestrian walkway on the north side only, whereas the proposed section includes sidewalks as well as paved shoulders on both sides, as well as wider travel lanes. Next slide. So the need for this project was identified during an inspection conducted by ODOT in 2016, which identified critical structural deficiencies. The existing bridge also currently experiences frequent flooding. Emergency repairs were done in 2017, and replacement was included on the city's capital improvement plan. Next. So a requirement of the comprehensive plan map amendment process is to justify the amendment through an environmental, social, economic, and energy analysis, or an ESEE analysis for short, or by demonstrating that the wetlands are not significant. So in this case, the applicant chose to justify this amendment through the ESEE analysis. So that evaluation involves identifying the consequences of allowing, limiting, or prohibiting conflicting uses in the resource areas. And in this case, the conclusion of the ESEE analysis is that limiting the conflicting use will avoid many of the negative consequences attributed to either allowing or prohibiting the conflicting use, but more importantly, will allow benefits to be realized. So the benefits include improved facilities for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists, preventing bridge closures, preventing the possibility of bridge failure or flooding, a more reliable emergency response time, as well as creating construction jobs and services related to project construction, and then also providing surplus mitigation for impacts to resource areas. So the mitigation in this case will take place off-site, as no feasible sites were identified within the project area. Only 34,824 square feet of mitigation is required. However, 37,943 square feet of vegetated corridor will be created, and that will provide additional benefit in advance of future encroachment. Next slide, please. So staff finds that the proposal provides detailed information on how the development complies with all applicable comprehensive plan policies, the statewide planning goals, as well as Metro Titles 3 and 8. We find that all applicable development code criteria and standards are met or can be met through conditions of approval, and that there are adequate public facilities to serve the proposed development. Next slide, please. As well, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 3rd of this year, where they made a unanimous vote in favor of recommending that the City Council adopt by ordinance the proposed comprehensive plan map amendment, sensitive lands review, and minor modification. So staff recommends that City Council adopt by ordinance the proposed applications. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the applicant testimony. And we have Senior Engineer Morris and Dow Consultant Nick Robertson and Matthew Robinson. Welcome.
Hello.
Oh, yep, just turn it on, it'll turn green.
Oh,
there you
perfect. Okay. Awesome. So good evening, councilors. My name is Matthew Robinson. I'm a land use planner with Dowell, and Dowell served as the applicant's representative for this project. So we did the land use planning, the engineering for the project, and bridge design, as well as the environmental work. So we have a brief presentation we want to get through. We're going to try and avoid overlap with Jenny's presentation because it covered most of what we need to cover. But yeah, so hopefully just a few minutes, and then we're happy to answer any questions that you have. So next slide, please. So just a quick team introduction. So the applicant is the City of Tigard Public Works, and Zach is here on behalf of Public Works. He's the project manager on the city side. And then, as I mentioned, Dowell is the applicant's consultant. So Nick Robertson is online, and Nick is the Dowell project manager, and he served as the project engineer for the bridge replacement project. Next slide, please. So as Jenny mentioned, we're applying for 3 separate land use applications concurrently. The first is a comprehensive plan map amendment to amend Tigard's comprehensive plan map to remove protections for significant wetlands. The sensitive lands review is specific for work occurring within the 100-year floodplain and regulated floodway. And then the minor modification is to actually amend the conditional use permit approval that approved the improvements in Dirksen Nature Park. So that's so that we can put a stormwater detention pond within the boundary of the park and the area covered by that CUP approval. Next slide, please. So I think I'm going to hand it off to Zach, and he's going to cover a few points about the purpose and need of the project.
Yeah, I think Jenny's presentation addressed some of these, but just a little more background on the bridge. It was built in the late 50s. It's a timber bridge. It's continued to deteriorate over time. In 2016, ODOT inspected it. It's typical that bridges are inspected by ODOT or their consultant every 2 years, and at that time it was structurally deficient, and in 2017 the bridge was closed and had to do some emergency repairs. Those repairs were never intended to be permanent. The city applied for federal transportation dollars to replace it. We were not successful. So in our capital improvement plan, it was brought forward as a fully funded, locally funded project. So we began design on the bridge replacement design a few years ago. And as Jenny showed, and I think we have a slide as well, the bridge will get higher, wider space for cyclists and pedestrians. And again, it's in our CIP number 95060. Next slide, please. So Jenny already showed this, but just maybe a little more information. So right at Fano Creek, the bridge is coming up 7 feet higher than it is today. And then the darker color along the roadway that you see is essentially our project limits, and that's dictated by coming up 7 feet. We have to come down gradually to the existing grade at either end. And then similarly, the 4 driveways along with the Fano Creek Trail connection needs to be rebuilt to come up to that higher roadway elevation. You can see that the bridge is wider, as Jenny shared. One distinction, in case anyone had questions, in the typical section in the upper left where there's bikes, it's labeled as a shoulder, and throughout the application we refer to it as a paved shoulder. That's because on either end of the project there are no existing marked bike lanes, and so it would be a little goofy to have that marked for such a short period. So the intention is, if there ever were bike lanes in the area, this would just get marked accordingly. Next slide, please. So just big picture where we're at schedule-wise. We're coming out of 90% design, headed towards 100% or final design. We have some of our permits. We have a few that we're still working on, and in the near term we're going to begin the right-of-way and easement acquisition process, and those activities will take us through early 2026. At that point we'd hope to be in position to put the project out for bid and then construct in 2026. It's an aggressive schedule, but we're working diligently to get there. A key piece of the construction timeline is the portions of the existing bridge are within what's called the in-water work window, and it's a regulatory area that's restricted. You can only be in there between, I think it's July 15th and September 30th as a tributary to the Tualatin, which Fano Creek is. And then our center bent or foundation for the new bridge is also within that area. So it's a key portion of the year that we have to plan around, and so we're hopeful we'll get there. And next slide, I think that's what we had, and we're available to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. City Recorder, has anyone signed up to speak in person? All right, thank you so much. Mr. Vang, are there any phone callers in the queue or anyone wishing to testify by video today?
No callers, Mayor.
All right. There is no response because there's no public testimony, so I will close the public hearing. And now we have time for council questions and deliberation. Are there any questions? Yeah, Councilor Shaw?
Thank you very much for the presentation. And that, I think you answered my question on the proposed conditions with the sidewalk, the bike lane, the 2 lanes, and then the bike and sidewalk is just for the portion of the bridge. And so it oddly will be none of those until the bridge, and then it'll move forward as a shoulder, and then it oddly ends again?
Not quite. I don't know if we could bring that one slide back up, but we're for sure providing the bike and ped facilities on the bridge itself, and then the entire north side of the project through that whole limit that we showed until we end near Tiedemann Avenue. There was no perfect place to end at the northeast side of the project, but we carried those facilities the whole way. On the northwest side, we're going to do the, I think it was the, that one. Yeah, so it's a little faint, but you could see the sidewalk on the northeast side of the bridge goes throughout the entire project limits, and that's just shy of the Tiedemann Avenue intersection. On the northwest side of the bridge, we're carrying the sidewalk west until it hits the existing sidewalk by the apartments. So that'll be a connection on the southwest side. There's no plans to do a bike lane or sidewalks on that portion of Tigard Street right there because of the new, Fano Creek Trail and then the new path that went in from the new Dirksen Nature Park parking lot west to the Education Center. So there is nothing there, but there's no purpose for it. Heading east, it is a little odd and it looks odd, and it will essentially dead end on the east side of the bridge on the south side. But the reason for that is because had we carried those facilities east towards Tiedemann, it doesn't tie into anything good, and we don't want to dump people in an interim condition that maybe is no safer. Further, I think it was about 2 years ago, the engineering division did a study, basically took Tiedemann Avenue to 30% design of what would need to happen from Greenberg all the way down to Walnut, I believe. And the intersection just off the screen is skewed. Ideally, you want roads coming together at 90 degrees to each other. So that study identified that that intersection would need to be reworked, whether it was signalized or a roundabout, and it pushed the intersection to the southwest. So not only was it not ideal to carry it east currently, but it was potentially throwaway dollars should that ever materialize. So really the only portion of the project that's not getting it is that southeast piece. Sure.
Councillor Hu?
Thank you, Mayor. While you have this picture up there, so I'm just curious that because Fennel Creek Trail south of there get flooded as in the winter time as well. So I'm just curious, would any of the work be done alleviate flooding issue, or will flood continue to exist after this project is completed?
It may help a little bit.
Okay.
But the purpose of the project was not to change any of the inundation of Fano Creek Trail. I would feel more confident to say that the portion north of there will still get flooded.
Okay.
Between there and North Dakota is a tough spot. I'm just going off memory. I think the road's coming up like 3 feet where the trail crossing is, and then we're just ramping back down to the existing grade. So I don't know that it would change a whole lot.
Okay. And two more aspects. Most of them will be moderate impact, but one of them is higher for aquatic habitat. So can you explain to me what higher for aquatic habitat means?
Well, it's been a while since I read the whole thing, but from what I recall, the ES and EE report essentially ranks each wetland that we're touching, and it ranks each function. So the wetlands do different things, and most of the wetlands and most of the functions rated moderately, and the aquatic function ranked higher. I don't recall where we said anywhere there was a higher impact to the aquatic function. Is there? If you saw that somewhere, I'd be happy to look into it.
It's on page 11, 12, and 13 of the ESEE. So for hydrologic functions, water quality support, fish habitat, and ecosystem support, the impact will be moderate. But for aquatic habitat, the impact is higher. So I'm just wondering what's the significance of higher impact on aquatic habitat?
Yeah, again, without reading the whole thing and taking too much time, what I'm seeing is the rating, but I suppose based on what you saw, I think it would just mean the severity of the impact. It wouldn't be a temporary impact. Do you have anything to add, Matt?
Yeah, I was gonna add. So I think there's probably just a little bit of confusion because essentially, there's the significant wetlands A, B, and C, and when you assess how well a wetland is doing, essentially, you have hydrologic functions, you have water quality support, fish habitat, aquatic habitat, and ecosystem support. And I'll mention I'm not a wetland scientist. Our wetland scientist is actually on PTO this week, so he can attend. But essentially what those moderate or high it's not talking about the impact, it's talking about like how well does this existing wetland actually serve that function. So like significant wetland will be when it says higher for aquatic habitat.
Okay,
yeah, it's
I
saying
got
that,
it. So
like,
it's the opposite what I thought
Correct.
it was. Okay,
Yep.
great, wonderful. And the other question I have is, I appreciate all the mitigation effort that being, all the thought being put into this. But just for clarification, for a person like me who is not expert in those mitigation effort, I just have a question about what does a wetland bank credit, what does it do? And because the credit will be used to improve somewhere in Hillsborough, but the impact area is in Tiger. So can you just explain to a layman like me how will improvement in Hillsborough, how mitigation effort in Tiger? So
Sure. So a wetland mitigation bank credit is essentially a wetland mitigation bank is an area where they're either improving existing wetlands or even creating new wetlands in areas that didn't previously have them. And so you can purchase, they call them a bank credit. You can purchase a bank credit there, and that's used to offset your wetland impacts. Because, but when you're mitigating for wetlands, it's based on the watershed area. So the wetland is in the Tualatin River watershed, and so really it's important that you get mitigation that's in that same watershed. So yes, the mitigation might be in Hillsborough, but it's still in the same watershed, and it's still supporting that same watershed.
So it's like a part of big ecosystem that we're addressing together. Okay.
I would add a couple things to it. Constructing wetlands is difficult. Any of the planting work on any of these type of projects is a challenge.
Right.
And then especially if you have a bunch of these piecemeal projects and all these individual sites have to be managed and looked after, this allows you to do one or multiple, there's more than one bank, but bigger area. And it's a pretty well accepted practice. A recent example would be the Fano Creek Trail Connections project that finished this past year. I mean, that was one of our conditions of approval from the Corps of Engineers, was to purchase wetland bank credits from one of the local banks. It's also a criteria from Department of State Lands to get their permit. And so we're proposing that again for this project as well.
Yeah, I mean, it meets all the applicable requirements, but and I have a feeling that's not really exact one-to-one exact science, but I guess that's the best we could do, right? For having to have this project constructed. So yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you so much. That's all I have.
Any additional questions or a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 25-05.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the ordinance?
Ordinance number 25-05, an ordinance approving comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 2024-00001, to remove Goal 5 protection from 0.59 acres of locally significant wetlands and 0.14 acres of Fano Creek vegetated corridor from the Tigard Wetland and Stream Corridor Map Inventory.
Thank you. Will the city recorder please conduct a roll call vote?
Councillor Hu?
Yes.
Mayor Lube?
Yes.
Councillor Robbins?
Yes.
Councillor Schlack?
Yes.
Councillor Shaw?
Yes.
Council President Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 25-05 is adopted by unanimous vote of the council present. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is compensation for city officers, and we have HR Director Gomez to introduce this item. Welcome.
My name is Lori Gomez, for the record. I'm the HR Director for the city. I'm here tonight to propose a merit and compensation process for the city manager, city attorney, and municipal judge. Next slide, please. So tonight's request is for the approval of and a consensus on the attached merit and compensation administration process for the city manager, city attorney, and municipal judge. Next slide, please. So to summarize, staff was directed by council in March to provide a proposal for administering the merit 3 positions. A memo was provided in May, and then another option was asked to be explored in June. Next slide, please. For context, considerations for regulatory references and Oregon Ethics Government Commissions were considered. So the Oregon's pay equity law describes compensating employees the same as other employees doing comparable work, including wages, bonuses, and et cetera, with a consistent and verifiable pay structure system. And the Oregon Ethics Government Commission Administrative Rule describes where compensation, including salaries and benefits, must not be discussed or negotiated during an executive session. Next slide, please. The reviewed options were, while a subcommittee could be incorporated to the process to review the compensation options, the subcommittee decision would either need council approval or council needs to delegate authority to the subcommittee. However, this may increase a risk and exposure to unfair pay practices and how the pay change determined and calculated. Next slide, please. Staff proposes the following process. There are actually 9 steps. So this is broken into 2 slides, so it would be too cumbersome to read. The first is council will complete, in accordance with respective employment agreements, annual performance evaluations and assessments. The council will provide the City Human Resources Director with the outcome of the annual performance assessment and evaluation within 14 days. The director will also comply with the regulatory requirements, terms described in statutes, rules, respective employment agreements, and the city's pay policies. Next slide, please. Create and administer any relevant pay adjustments within 30 days of receiving the council's direction regarding the performance assessment and evaluation adjustment decisions to the city manager, city attorney, and municipal judge, respectively. The city's Human Resources Director will provide written comment to performance evaluation and assessment and compensation. And the City Human Resources Department will ensure that compensation data compliant with applicable regulatory requirements. Next slide, please. Staff recommendation, it's recommended that the City Human Resources Director administer and process salary changes to the city manager, city attorney, and municipal judge positions to ensure compliance with referenced Oregon revised pay equity law, Oregon ethic rules, and the relevant city compensation policies. It is recommended that council approve the attached merit compensation process for the city manager, city attorney, and municipal judge. In the next slide, I did receive a question to staff about how the merit is determined. So to add some more context, merit increases will be allocated using a pay system that has predetermined steps or its salary with merit increases will be allocated using a pay system that has predetermined steps or its salary within a pay range. Each step is an incremental pay increase. Employees will advance through the steps within the pay range. Any other questions?
Council President Wolf.
Hello, hello. I think we're okay. Great. Thank you so much, Director Gomez. So I think what I'm trying to understand, so what I heard you say is it'll be a step scale. So so then I guess what I want to understand is, let's say one of the 3, which I'm assuming will all be uniquely individual because they're how those pieces, those mechanisms all work together in a scenario of an outstanding performance and then a meets performance. Thank you.
Look at is every time a performance evaluation is completed successfully, that person will be in one of those steps already. They'll advance to the next step depending on how well they succeed, if they're succeeding. If they're not, that will be your decision to move them forward or not move them forward. The COLA will be something completely separate outside of that. And those steps are predetermined. They're usually between 3 and 5%. The desire is to have this substantially supportive of us for many years to come.
I have a question when you were talking about the compensation study and that Just trying to understand, like in the future, will it be? And then this time they were outside of it. Trying to understand, like in the future, will it be? And then this time they were outside of it. And the city manager. Do we also have one for the judge?
Any onus on the council to have to come up with the numbers ourselves. I am curious as to how often we would be doing
years. They're typically as good as we can ask them to do for us and what we can predict, which is not a whole lot of predicting, but we can estimate what the average increases are over a time span. And you know, once we reach that point, we can also ask for another compensation analysis.
I appreciate the process, and I think it's a really great idea. My concern is a situation in which we have the HR director making a calculation for their direct supervisor, which feels like a potential conflict of interest. My only recommendation would be the HR recommendation and have a delegated subcommittee to just okay it to go forward. Because it just feels like there's no check on that, and that could put everything in an uncomfortable situation or something down the road. And so that's just a situation which I want to vocalize.
So Director Gomez, is there a way that when, prior to any performance evaluation, right, that the steps come forward, the compensation comes forward? I mean, a lot of this is public data just because of the offices that are being served, that could approve kind of, this is what we agree to in terms of a step structure, this is what we agree to a compensation range. We understand COLA is going to be COLA, so that we have pre-agreed to a framework, and then we're done for several years.
Wonderful ask, and I'm happy to. Wonderful ask, and I'm happy to share with that, share whatever the results are from the consulting firm. They will be the ones that use the.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, so the class and comp schedule and the range and the steps along the budget process, the council has that, you know, discretion on what those are, and then the HR director is just administratively placing
trying to do here, which is to say we have 7 elected officials, we have 3 people we hire, 3 public officers, and this is how we're going to jointly agree.
As you know, somebody work for somebody setting increase, but what you just said about the guardrail, I think that makes me feel better, but still I have a little, I don't know, question percentage that translate to. No, so it's just automatic, it has to be.
So the steps will be predetermined. So those steps will already have the math calculated.
Got
There's
it.
normal and increases vary.
Right.
I've seen them from 3% to 5 to
Right.
5.5%. So
This-
if you start at step 4
Right.
and you have a successful performance review, after that successful performance review, it would go to step 5. Standard determination would be the next incremental step.
Okay. I have to think about it, but
I wouldn't. I
Okay.
wouldn't. As the HR director or the staff would not just think, oh, I think we'll just go 2 steps. Practice and the norm would be from the HR leader executive to administer that for the persons that they report to. It's
Okay.
pretty standard.
It's well taken that we have someone who could potentially be a direct report giving someone else their compensation and their review. But I also think we do need to worry about in the guardrails section of this is that council remains, I guess, open to conversations, in case there is pressure from the other direction with the person, not the HR director, but say our city manager, not that I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that we'll have specific steps, just trying to avoid putting staff or employees in those situations as much as we can is really important.
I think I, in some way, echo your concerns there, Mayor, and maybe not right now, but we can see how it goes, and maybe there's a way for the HR manager.
President Wolf?
Yeah, so I apologize, I was thinking out loud, so I would assume there'd be a step in. Stockwell, I think, has a comment.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, to the conversation that the council has been having, our intent is to make this an action that's very consistent with the policy, so there's no surprises to the mayor or council. So you should know exactly what the range is, exactly where they, you should know exactly what the range is, exactly where they, where each of your city officers are within the range, and what the effect of different actions would be from different steps. We're trying to make this, we're trying to make it more transparent, more clear, not less. And so I just wanted to be clear on that. And you definitely have a compensating control on the city manager. If the city manager, myself, or anyone else would pressure the
Executive session to discuss labor negotiations under ORS 192-6602D. All discussions are confidential, and those present may disclose nothing from the session. No executive session may be held for the purpose of taking any final action or making any final decision. The Tigard City Council will adjourn immediately after the conclusion of the executive session. Thank you so much. Good night, Tigard.